Executing the death penalty was dishonorable work for a samurai. Yamada Asaemon was the trade name of multiple generations of executioners. However, it was not a job that an amateur could take on, so Asaemon Yamada, a ronin who was skilled in swordsmanship and had no master, was chosen. Asaemon, who was appointed by the shogunate as a beheading executioner, took many disciples and appointed the most skilled among them as his successor. When Asaemon Yamada was busy, his disciples sometimes filled in for him. In addition, Yamada Asaemon used the bodies of death row inmates to test the sharpness of swords for high-ranking people, and created a ranking table for swords and conducted appraisals to earn extra income. This work was called Otameshi Goyo. The ranks are divided into 4 levels. Kaijou Asaemon. A total of 15 swordsmiths were certified at the highest level. The legendary sword Sasano Yuki, snow on the bamboo leaf, is named for the fact that if this sword touches your neck, your head will fall off, just as the snow on a bamboo tree will fall if you touch it. Sasano. Tsuyu equals bamboo dew, so called because the object could be cut so easily, just like dew falling on a bamboo tree. Ishituro Kiriko Tetsu equals stone. When cutting a pine tree, the blade was too strong to cut with too much force. This includes the swordsmith named after the swordsmith, who also cut down a stone lantern that he touched. The following are Uwazamono, Yokuwazamono, and Wazamono. In descending order of the highest rating, Kaijou Kenjaku, written by Yamada Asaemon and others, is still an invaluable book among sword connoisseurs. When it comes to the sharpness of swords, I don't think there will be anything that surpasses this book, which was tested by actually cutting people's flesh. Yamada in Tokyo Shinjuku, Shibuya, Ueno, and Ikebukuro, the 4 major cities in Tokyo, and one of them, Ikebukuro, is said to have a temple connected to Yamada Asaemon. It's a bit of a walk from Ikebukuro station, but it's within walking distance. This stone monument describes the history of each generation of those named Yamada Asaemon. It is also written that Yamada Asaemon had outstanding swordsmanship and had deep insight into sword appraisal. The first Yamada Asaemon was selected as an executioner from among the many ronin. It is said that he was chosen because of his ability to painlessly execute criminals, as well as being able to carry out his duties without damaging the swords of people of high status. If their swords were to sustain serious damage, Yamada Asaemon himself would not have been left alone, so it can be inferred that his status was in return for his considerable skill. This temple features a fire bucket and grave donated by Yamada Asaemon. The nearest station is Yotsuya Sanchome. I chose not to take pictures of the grave, as I felt it would be disrespectful. The fire bucket, also donated by Yamada Asaemon, has his name inscribed on the side. It was used to store rainwater daily, which served as a vital resource for extinguishing fires when needed. Next, we will finally visit his workplace. This is Tenmacho execution site. Beheadings were carried out here, and it is said that Yamada Asaemon also played a role here. Located in a very busy area about 2 to 3 minutes walk from Tenmacho Station, it doesn't seem like a place with such a rich history. There is a park across the street from this execution site. It was a prison during the samurai era. This bell, which stands in a park on the site of a former prison, served not only to tell the time, but also to announce the execution of a sentence. Shun Yoshida, a famous philosopher in Japanese history, was beheaded by Asaemon Yamada at this execution site. The chief priest of Goddess and Fudo in Temple, the great priest Shinkayamashina, as it was the site of a prison and execution site in Tenmacho. Edo felt spirits wandering around the temple and requested the construction of a temple to console them. This is Minami Senju Station. Kozukappara was the northern execution site in Edo, Tokyo, and the temple grounds across from this station were the exact place of execution. Punishments such as beheading, gibbeted head, crucifixion, and burning at the stake were carried out at this execution site. One theory says that hundreds of thousands of people were executed, and that nearly half were innocent. This statue has seen the execution of tens of thousands of people. Otameshi Goyo sword testing by Yamada Asaemon were also held here. For this reason, this Jizo statue is called the Beheaded Jizo Kubikiri Jizo. The Beheaded Jizo can be seen from the window of this train, which carries many commuters every day and heads towards the center of Tokyo. It is truly a surreal sight to see this place, which has such an incredibly heavy history, intertwined with people's daily lives. Also, autopsies were performed on the bodies of death row inmates at this execution site. It is called fuwake. These monuments are in Ekuin, just next to Meiji. This stone monument is a memorial to the prisoners who died at this location. It is said that the gallows was located exactly where this cenotaph is located. After this is a private house, and this cenotaph is in the park. There was a prison in this area that was moved from Tenmacho in 1875, when the samurai era ended. Head to Asaemon Yamada's last workplace. As soon as I get to the main street, it suddenly appears in between the buildings. There is a cenotaph quietly located in an alley facing a major road, and it is said that this place was the exact place where the beheadings took place. Beheadings were abolished at the beginning of the Meiji period, which brought the end of the samurai era and heralded the age of westernization. So this place is said to be the last place for beheadings in Edo, Tokyo. There was originally a large statue of Kannon, the Bodhisattva of Compassion, used as a memorial service for prisoners, but due to a lack of resources during the Pacific War, it was dedicated as scrap for weapon materials. The current shrine was built after the war. Takahashi Oden, who was famous all over Japan as a bewitching femme fatale, was also executed by Yamada Asaemon here. There is also a theory that the execution site of Takahashi Oden is the aforementioned Kozukappara. The heads decapitated by Yamada Asaemon, or his disciples at the decapitation site in Tenmacho, were transported to the Suzugamori execution site, where they were sometimes displayed for display. Those who were sentenced to punishments other than beheading, such as crucifixion or burning at the stake, were bound and placed on horses and headed from the Tenmacho Prison to the Suzugamori execution ground across the Namadabashi Terrace Bridge. The heads decapitated by Asaemon Yamada and others were washed in this very well and then placed on the prison gate platform. Like Kozukappara, this execution site is also visible from the train window of the train that carries many commuters to Tokyo every day. The pillar you see from the train window is this information board. Behind these trees is a well where decapitated heads were washed, and a temple building built to mourn those who were executed. The severed heads of Asaemon Yamada and others were displayed for several days before being buried at a nearby temple. This temple took in the unidentified and unreliable bodies of the sick, geishas, and those who died during travels. Because some of the temples were abandoned and thrown into this temple, it was called Nachiko Madera equals throwing temple. Despite his status as a ronin, Yamada Asaemon had a magnificent mansion in a prime location in Edo, Tokyo. He didn't amass this fortune from his work as an executioner. Rather, Yamada Asaemon had a lucrative side job. That side job was selling medicine. The medicine was made by refining bile and other substances from the executed corpses and turning it into tablets. At the time, there was a rush of people seeking this medicine as it was said to be effective in curing chronic illnesses and diseases. When the samurai era ended and beheading was banned, Yamada Asaemon's role became obsolete. Ironically, the headquarter building of Japan's largest life insurance company is now on the site of Yamada Asaemon's former mansion. During the Edo period, the age of the samurai, there were punishments that are unimaginable today. This video introduces the punishments used at that time. They have carried out countless beheadings. What is the surprising reason why he was able to make such a huge profit by performing the dirty job of being an executioner, which regular samurai would not engage in, as it was considered dishonorable? In the Tenmacho prison, prisoners had to endure various forms of torture every day, and murders between prisoners were commonplace. There was also an execution field on the premises of the prison, where decapitations were carried out. At the site, the bell that heralded the execution of a sentence, and the stone wall that used to house the prison still remain. Those who committed the most heinous crimes were carried by horse with their body restrained, and transported to Nihonbashi, the center of Edo. The terrible punishments practiced there. What did the criminals think as they crossed the Bridge of Tears and were transported to Suzugamori Execution Ground? At this location, there are remains of the well where the heads of decapitated criminals were washed, as well as the foundations used for burning at the stake and crucifixion. The executed bodies were thrown into a nearby temple, so this temple is also called Throwing Temple. A huge jizo that has seen countless executions. This place has a different history than other execution site. This jizo can be seen from the window of the train that carries many commuters towards the center of Tokyo every morning. Human bones are still often unearthed in this area during construction work. It is said that books on the sharpness of swords and books on medicine were completed due to the existence of this execution site. But what was going on at this place? People who were considered unclean and not human were forced to perform tasks such as preparing for the punishment carrying out the execution, and cleaning up after the punishment. A look into the life of a man who worked at Suzugamori Execution Ground and became an object of people's faith. Executed in the Edo period commit. And what kind of punishment were they given? Explore their crimes and punishments.
Japanby provides information about Japan that is not well known. Thank you for watching until the end. We will be encouraged if you like and subscribe.